Today is a special Get Stuff Done episode. Our guest today is an incredible female founder who is successfully raising funds for her new startup, Couture Technologies. And we'll come back to that in a minute. What's been most incredible are the thousands of individuals that she has mentored on their entrepreneurial journeys. She has certainly been someone that I consider to be a shero, and our entrepreneurial ecosystem here in the Nashville community is extremely grateful to have her. She has been on the leadership team at Vanderbilt University's Entrepreneur and Innovation Center, the Wondery, since the very beginning, guiding, navigating, mentoring trailblazers, entrepreneurs as they bring life-changing, world-changing, innovating solutionist ideas to the world. Now, she herself is also a successful female entrepreneur with her startup, Couture Technologies, and she raised $1.5 million in just 8 hours. Hear more details about her incredible story and what she is doing to change the entrepreneurial landscape, not just here in Nashville, but truly around the world. Be prepared to be inspired and be encouraged, as I always am after each conversation with Deanna Meador. On today's special Get Stuff Done episode, I'm so excited to have Deanna Meador. Hi, Deanna. How are you?
I am doing so well. I am so excited to be here with you. You are amazing. So I'm just super excited for this conversation and the time that we're going to have together.
Oh, well, thank you. And you are a fellow Nashvilleian, and our paths crossed at the Wondery at Vanderbilt's Innovation and Entrepreneurial Center. And we'll talk about that in today's episode. But Deanna, let's hear a little bit about your story and let's share it with our listeners today.
Okay, so I already say, I told Misha, just cut me off if this goes off in a million places. When you look at my background on paper, so one of the things I often tell people is that it kind of looks like it doesn't make any sense. And I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up, which in some ways is true. So I am a psychologist by training. Started actually as a marine biologist. Whole nother story there. But really what led me to where I am today. So I started my first company when I was in graduate school. Was a retail-based business, had ended up with multiple locations in 2 different states. Ran that for about a year and a half, sold it to an international company, and then came to Vanderbilt to do research. Brought those entrepreneurial skills and that experience with me. So in the process of doing research, I saw ways where I felt like we could do something a little bit differently, do it a little more efficiently, make people's lives better, translate the really cool things that we were learning in research into tools that could help teachers, educators, practitioners. So ended up then developing a couple different educational technologies. One of those is actually chalk coaching, which I'm still working on right now with a venture studio that's also located in Nashville. Then that led me down the path of the vision for the Wondery was announced. So Vanderbilt before didn't have an innovation center. And so when this vision was announced, it just felt like the perfect place to bring together my entrepreneurial experiences, what I love to do with inventing and bringing new technologies to life, but also an opportunity to take all the things that I've learned and use those to help other aspiring entrepreneurs, other makers, other inventors. So join the Wondery team. And then that led me down the path too to start my current company, Couture Technologies. So we're in the fashion technology space. We also have an apparel brand called Freedom Company. But all of these things really lead back to, and it took me a while to notice this about myself, because this is ed tech and fashion tech and research and retail and all these different things, that really what it comes down to is just I like problem solving and I like building a team. And so if there is something that I see in the world that I feel like could be done better, could make people's lives better, then those are the things I get excited about. And it doesn't matter what industry it's in. I'm very tech focused on the last few things that I've done because I feel like there's not much that tech doesn't touch today, and that it is a way we can optimize and create really cool solutions that are able to scale. But it comes down to, I just love problem solving, and I love that finding what those issues are, talking to lots of people and doing customer discovery, and then being able to execute and bring things to life. So, long way to say I look confusing on paper, but it does really all make sense.
It does. And what I love about the problem solving, right, is you see a problem and you want to solve it. You want to get stuff done, right? And do it in that, what I would like to call about innovating solutionists, right? And it's whether that idea is within you, or it's surrounding yourself with those people that say, hey, I see a problem. Let's come together and bring about a solution. Me as well, having my background in tech and operations, I love the tech side of things too. And I, just love to see these solutions coming to life. Dino, as you are doing so much mentoring and oversight and navigating and guiding entrepreneurs today, what is that focus that you see, or that biggest need for entrepreneurs today?
Yeah, so there are quite a few. I'll hit on maybe just a couple. So one is all the things that we do at the Wondery on purpose focus on starting entrepreneurs down this path very, very early on of customer discovery. So before you commit time, which is one of our most precious resources that we have, and it's limited, to bringing an idea to life, really making sure that you have had a lot of conversations with people that are in that ecosystem where you're trying to bring a solution into. Is there a problem to be solved? Do people recognize it as a problem? Is it in my case, my technologies have always been B2B, so selling into other companies or organizations. And when you do that, if the problem that you're trying to solve is not on their list of priorities to solve, you can do it, but it's a much harder sell and it's a much longer pathway and it's much harder to get traction. And when you do customer discovery, those are the kind of things that you learn. I worked with a team that was planning on bringing a new drug to market. And when they went out and did that initial customer discovery, they heard current prescriptions work really well. They're not expensive. They don't have a lot of side effects. And then when they talked to the women that would use this drug, well, once we've been diagnosed the first time, we really don't go back to a physician and we actually treat at home. Those are not the kind of signals that you want to hear when you're going down the pathway of committing, sometimes we're at a decade to bring a new drug to market. So that customer discovery piece is so powerful to pointing you in the right direction, making sure that you're spending your time in the best way possible and that you're really fulfilling a need that exists. So to me, that is the most important thing, is start there. And even if you're an established company or an established organization and you're planning to bring a new product to market, it's the same thing. For my company, I did a whole new round of customer discovery when the pandemic hit, because I didn't know how that was changing behavior. I didn't know how it was changing priorities for companies. I didn't know if the value proposition I had was still the same. So to me, that part's super important. And so programs that really focus on just pitching or finding investment and don't have you go down the path of that really critical piece are not setting you up for as much success as they could. And then the other piece, especially in our ecosystem here in the South, in Nashville, we're in an emerging innovation ecosystem. This isn't an ecosystem that is established like a lot of the innovation hotbeds that you see and think about, which presents a really unique opportunity for us to build it in a really diverse way from the ground up. But it also still represents some challenges for founders. I've seen a gap lately in, pre-seed, seed, sometimes even earlier, funding, just to get ideas to that level where they are truly investable. And we've got some gaps there that we really need to address. And then that overall just national conversation around the gap for women and minority founders, that has not changed much in over a decade. So we've got big things that need to happen there to really get that conversation and the actions that come out of it to where they need to be. So those are my two big things, right? We've got some real funding issues across the nation, but especially in these emerging and underserved innovation markets and for those founders. And then starting with that customer discovery is the most important thing to put you on the right foot.
Two amazing nuggets. Thank you so much. And I think let's take a moment and let's talk about the VC world and funding and your role with the movie Show Her the Money and the importance and the education and awareness it's bringing about. So talk to us a little bit about that, because I love how you've woven that importance of helping bridge that gap, right? Because less than 2% of women and minorities are receiving the VC funding today. And so talk to us a little bit about the movie and what we're doing to change it.
Yeah. So to me, when you have a big systemic issue like that, part of it is transparency and awareness. So making people aware, being very vocal so that people know the stats, they know what's happening. Information's key. But once you get past that, and there have been a ton of articles, then it takes action. And not a lot of people get to that step where you see a problem and then you actually want to do something about it. And so I've been so impressed with the Show Her the Money crew, just for seeing this issue, but wanting to do something about it. So they put together this really amazing film that last time I talked to them had won an award at every single festival where it has been displayed or screened, which is amazing. But I really love the angle that they took where they were both telling founder stories, not knowing during filming how they were going to turn out. And then at the same time, helping educate women on what it means to be an investor and dispelling some of those myths about, I got to be able to put in $100,000, or I'm not at that level in my life or my career to be able to put some money into an investment, and that be one of the mechanisms other than, stocks and 401ks and the ways that I'm investing money for, wealth later, that this is an option that's available to a lot more women to be investors than you would probably think. So I love that they came at it from both of those sides. So when I met that crew, it seemed just perfectly natural, right? To want to bring them to Nashville, to want to do a screening here, have people be able to meet the founders, meet the cast, meet the team, and really get us talking about this important issue. So it was amazing to have them at the Renaissance Women's Summit.
It was, and I brought my daughter with me. And, I think what was really important is, my own late father started to take me to events at the same age. And so I've started to bring her to many events. And I was interested to see what would she and I each take away from the movie. And I think what was really amazing was the education around all of the innovations that women have been responsible for over the years and over the decades and centuries. And I think you think about the dishwasher and windshield wipers, and that was what my daughter walked away with, was like, Mom, we invented all of these things. I can invent something. But then to your earlier point, my takeaway was, investing in this way is truly accessible. And my takeaway was very different from her takeaway, but it's impacting both of our worldviews in such a positive way. And, especially as I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm pretty sure I have a budding entrepreneur that I'm raising as well, it makes it accessible, and it makes it, reality of this is truly possible. And I think that's that mindset when we think about our GST factor mindset of being confident and inquisitive and imaginative and present, resilient, and influential, being able to see a problem, fix it, and now let's fund it, I think is so important. Deanna, you've been extremely successful with a number of your organizations, but talk to us about your recent raise, which definitely has put you on the map for Couture Technologies, and the amazing feat that you accomplished here in 8 hours.
Yeah, this is a story that I love to tell and talk about, because it is part of taking action to change that narrative that we're not so happy with the way it exists today. So needed to raise a round of seed funding for my company. So this was last year, 2023. And, hearing that stat, right, that 2%, it's been one of those things that is frustrating to me when you don't see something changing. And so I started thinking about, if we needed to do a raise, how could we structure it in a way that could intentionally tell a story that's different? And then hopefully use that to inspire other women founders that maybe some of the things that you think are not possible, they're possible. I always say there's nothing special about me. if I was able to do that, other people can do that. It's not like some magic trick or anything that I have that other people don't have. So when I sat down with my team and we started looking at what were the things we needed to accomplish within the company, how much money did we need to raise, what was that going to look like, and we came up with that number. We set a goal for raising at least $1 million. And the original idea was to do it in 24 hours and then to do it on International Women's Day. And so when I talked to my team about this, I was really transparent with them. I said, there's a reason it hasn't been done. There's a reason people don't do a raise in a short amount of time like this. We could fail. And I said, I want everyone to be on board with this because we've got to all agree this is a strategy that we're going to go after. And if we fail, we are not going to shy away from that. We are going to tell the story. We're going to talk about the barriers that we encountered. We're going to talk about why it didn't work. And we are not going to pull back from talking about, something that people might view right as a negative, like you didn't accomplish a goal you were trying to reach. And so they were super excited, all on board, which was amazing. And so we started putting together the strategy. So who were those investors that we were going to call on that day? What did the pitch deck need to look like? What were the financials we needed to have together? All of those elements that you get together when you're getting ready to pitch and getting all of those in place. Starting to put out some teasers, letting people know that we were going to do a raise. The investors that were on the list, letting them know that I was going to contact them on this day, International Women's Day, and that I was going to need a quick answer from them. And that morning I got up. So there's a lot of planning and prep, right, that went into the strategy. And then when I got up that morning, I barely slept, honestly, like all night long, knowing that this was coming. And it really, the reason it turned into 8 hours was we wanted to do a celebration and get everyone together and do it on International Women's Day. So we needed to do that at our venue around 3 to 4 o'clock. So then it effectively shortened my window to about an 8-hour period. But I started making phone calls and sending out emails, text messages at 7 a.m. The last agreement was signed. So I only counted the money if a binding legal agreement, was signed by the investor committing to the amount of money. And then they had about a week to get the money actually to me and finish the transaction. So we signed the last legal agreement at 2:30 p.m., about a half an hour before we were heading into that celebration. And it brought our total to $1.5 million that was raised during that 8-hour window, which actually for founders in Tennessee that quarter, it raised the amount of seed funding by about 11% by itself. So it's, part of that is that story that it seems like such a big thing, right? This 2%, and it's just a systemic national issue. It feels very big, but we were able to make a meaningful change. One company structuring something in a way that we could tell a different narrative. It really did make a difference. And I had women and other founders, not just women, but from all over the world reaching out after that article went live, just that they were inspired and that they felt challenged, by this, like to go do the thing that they were thinking about doing. And that was more amazing than I think I was even prepared for.
First of all, congratulations and kudos, because I love that you set a goal. I love that you were prepared to celebrate the win or the loss, right? I love the strategy and the planning behind it, because I think so many times people go, oh, I have an idea, I'm just going to do, versus no, you have to put that thought and be intentional with it. And I think that's so important. But I also think you're doing something to move that needle. And you've hit on this a couple times, and I really want to dive into this in a moment, because I think this is something, especially as Southern women, is how do you share your story, and how do you share your story in an impactful and a meaningful way?
Yeah. So one of the things that I remember back to like Renaissance Women's Summit a couple of years ago, I did some opening remarks. And one of the things as Southern women, and I have been in the South since high school, so moved from Indianapolis to Tennessee right about the time I started high school. So I've been here for a long time. I think my accent very much gives that away. So one of the things as just being a Southerner and a woman is, you are polite, you don't really brag on yourself. Those are common sentiments, and it's seen as being boastful, and so those are things that I've been taught and kind of raised with, and with the people around me. And I just, I don't believe that. I believe that there's a lot of inspiration, I know for me, that comes from hearing other women's stories. And to be able to do that, you can't shy away from the accomplishments or talking about what you've done in a really authentic way, and being willing to share details and share how that happened and how that worked and what parts were hard and what parts, went fantastic. And we need more of that. It's very frustrating to me when people feel like they need to hide the good things that they've done, or that someone else in a conversation needs to introduce this for you versus you being able to introduce it into a conversation with someone yourself. We need more of that. Really amazing things are happening, both in Nashville and Tennessee, in the South. And sometimes we're just not the best at talking about all of the things that are happening. And it's hard there's that whole sentiment about, if you see me, you can be me. And the only way that that happens is when people tell their stories, they share, these kinds of things are celebrated, whether they're good or bad or ugly. We just need more of that. We need more being comfortable with sharing the wins, with that not feeling like a thing that you shouldn't do. So I've been trying to challenge people when I tell that story about the raise. It's not about me, and it's not about that I'm the only person that could. There's nothing like that. Someone asked me the other day, they said something about, what are you going to do when the record is broken? And I was like, I was hoping that would have already happened. I was like, I want this record to be broken. I don't want this to survive for the next decade. I want it to be broken tomorrow. That's the whole point. It's to start a movement and to start momentum. It's not about being a record holder. It's about being so happy when the next person comes along that challenges it and changes that and does something even better, even faster, that moves this conversation forward. So we just got to get better about not feeling like we're bragging when you tell a story about something that you've been able to accomplish, because you never know how that is going to inspire someone that's thinking about this idea, or that's maybe thinking about starting a venture or making a career change. You never know how that's going to impact someone else, and you just can't hide that.
It's so true. And I'm so glad that we're talking about it and saying it, because I think when we are being our true authentic selves, right, we're allowing ourselves to come out, but we're doing so unapologetically. I think so many times Southerners too tend to over apologize and maybe be a little on the, always feel like you have to be nice, but really using our authentic voices unapologetically, I think, is so important. And yes, it's breaking those glass ceilings. It's saying, stand on my shoulders and go to the next level and continue to go and grow. And I think as fellow entrepreneurs, we need that encouragement and inspiration, but also as mentors of entrepreneurs, we need to showcase that to those that we are mentoring and to our community, right? Whether it's our smaller community or the larger community around the world. Deanna, one of the things I'm asking all of our podcast guests this year is, what are you powerfully choosing in 2024?
Yeah. So 2024 has been a year of transition for me so far. So it's been making a lot of very, sometimes difficult, but needed choices, and very intentionally. So I was part of the team that started the Wondery, which has been a place that is very dear to my heart, that I love. I have had the opportunity to mentor, it's been over 600 teams of founders working on everything from nuclear battery technology to clothing lines to medical devices and kind of everything in between. So it has been a place that has been an inspiration for me for, like 7 years now. And earlier this year, I had to make the tough decision to leave that full-time role, because as Couture Technologies, we're transitioning from a company that's been very, very deep research and development, building a deep technology, a software that has never existed, where there was no blueprint for what we were trying to create. It's been deeply technical work for a couple of years. And now we've got 4 products and we're transitioning into business development and sales and being at trade shows. And that transition means that I can no longer balance, being at the Wondery all the time and running Couture. And then, I'm also working with the Venture Studio for chalk coaching. And you have to make some tough decisions, right? And I knew that point would be coming, just didn't know exactly when. So as I'm in this period of transition, my priorities have shifted. The way that my team is structured, is shifting. So I've been really focused on choosing this pathway for growth, because that's the period where we are with Couture. We're going out of research and development into growth, while at the same time, I've had that built-in structure of the Wondery to be able to be my mechanism for giving back and supporting founders. And so now I am building kind of outside of it, those intentional mechanisms for how am I still going to take those calls for women that need someone to look at their pitch deck, or they're really not sure about their fundraising strategy, or they just need to talk about, the really tough week that they had and all of the things that are happening, good and bad, and I had a founder that called me the other day and said, I know that I can trust you. And so I just want to have an open conversation about this is what's really happening. And absolutely, everyone needs someone that they can have those real conversations with. You don't have to filter things for me. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been there. You're not going to tell me anything most likely that's going to surprise me or that I'm going to look at you funny for. Like, I can be that person. So still trying. Now I'm in this place of figuring out, how do I grow my business as much as possible? This is our year to scale. At the same time, now building new mechanisms, both still with the Wondery and outside of the Wondery, to support founders, because that's really important to me.
Amazing. And we're so excited to watch your growth and scale for Couture Technologies and all the things. Deanna, what is the best way that people can follow your story or reach out and connect with you?
Yeah, so the best way really is through LinkedIn. That is where, if I write a blog or an article, that's where it goes up. I don't usually do a separate web page or any of that. So LinkedIn is the best way. So just Deanna Meador on LinkedIn. For Couture and for Freedom Co., we have, LinkedIn and Instagram, and we have Facebook and TikTok and all the things. So I have an amazing group that helps me keep content on all of those, those different outlets, because it's not the thing that I invest at. Those are the best ways to reach us. And if you are a founder, you ever need someone to talk to, it might be me, it might be someone in my network, but reach out.
Yes, and I absolutely love my Freedom Co. dresses, especially the hoodie dress, and I'm wearing the summer dress today. So if you're looking for some beautiful apparel that is, sourced here and just really mindful in all the ways, be sure to check it out. And Deanna, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. It's been such an honor and privilege. And for those entrepreneurs out there and founders, I hope you have been taking lots of notes. Be sure to replay this episode, because there's been so many amazing nuggets. Deanna, thank you. We so appreciate you. And don't forget, everyone, to get stuff done.
Thanks for listening to the GSD Factor podcast. If you liked this episode, please rate and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, where you can also find previous episodes. Let's also connect on LinkedIn and Instagram. If you're looking for more information on the GSD Factor, visit us at gsdfactor.com. And always remember to GSD.